Good day, everyone. My name is Pedro B. Saking Jr., your teacher for today for the subject Understanding the Self, Chapter 4, Psychology. Okay, so our our flow for today is the self as a cognitive construction, and then andyan yan, si William James, me, self, and I and self. Okay, so global versus differentiated models, real and ideal self concepts, multiple versus unified selves, true versus false selves. So first, let's look for the difference or let's define psychology. So psychology is the scientific study of mind and behavior according to American Psychological Association. So psychology is a multifaceted discipline. So what does it mean by multifaceted discipline? So psychology called it a multifaceted discipline because it includes many subfields of study such areas as human developments, sports, health, clinical, social behavior, and cognitive processes. Okay? So, in short, psychology, it is a study of human behavior and it is a study of mind. Okay, so let's proceed next to the self as a cognitive construction. So cognitive construction is a cognitive approach that focuses on the mental processes rather than the observable behavior. So in this, they construct meaning and understanding based on this prior knowledge. Okay? So in this approach, individual will assist in assimilating new information to their existing knowledge and will enable to make the appropriate modification to their existing intellectual framework. Okay? So in here, sabi ni William James, one of the earliest psychologists to study the self and conceptualization the self having two aspects, the I and the me. So what is the difference between the two, the I and the me? I is the one who acts and decides, and me is what you think or feel about yourself as an object. Okay? So I now is our thinking, our acting, and our feeling self. It is referred to the I as a pure ego, okay? And suggested that this component, self, is consciousness itself. So me, it is the physical characteristics as psychological capabilities that makes who you are. Okay, so one of the many things that the I may be confused of, and it consists of three components. Okay, so what is the three components? First is self-identity. Second is self-concept. Third is self-schemas. Okay, so self-identity, it is our physical attributes and personal attributes. So when we say physical attributes, it is your physical appearance, kung anong nakikita ng mga tao sa'yo. Bale, kung ang nakikita nila sa'yo ay mataba, thin, or payat, or sexy, kung nakikita nila ang mukha ni Ann Curtis sa'yo, or ni Nadine Luce, that's your physical appearance. Kung pango ka, kung yung complexion ng skin mo is maitim or maputi. So that is your physical appearance. Okay? So when we say personal attitudes, it is your attitudes or it is your behavior as individual. Okay? Kung anong pinapakita mo sa mga ibang taong behavior, that's your personal attributes. Kung mabait ka sa mga tao or mapagbigay ka, or kung hindi ka marespeto sa sarili mo or you are disobeying the rules, that's your personal attributes. Okay? That is your behavior as a human. Okay? So when we say self-concept, it is a consistent set of perceptions and beliefs about oneself. Okay? The perceptions and beliefs that comprise our self-concept are called self-schemas. Okay? So, in self-schemas, it is formed by numerous factors that may be aware or unaware of, or some which are past experience, personality traits, abilities, physical features, values, goals, your social roles, and even the feedback from the others, okay? So all these factors are dynamic o nagbabago in a way that it grows who you are or it improves or lessens as we through our life in every day, okay? And expose ourselves to various interactions and media content. Okay, so if we expose ourselves through human interaction, we build ourselves. We build who we are. Okay, so kung nakipag-interact ka or you have a peer group may bad influence sa'yo, that could be possibly na may impluensyahan ka dun sa mga bad attitudes at bad behavior nila. Okay? Kaya yung sinasabi nila na sumama ka sa mga matatalino, magiging matalino ka. Sumama ka sa mga adik, magiging adik ka. It is because kapag sumama ka sa mga matatalino, syempre, magre-review ang mga yan. And then, yung conformity is gagayahin mo rin sila. Okay? So, kapag sinabi naman yung sumama ka sa mga adik, syempre, i-influensyahan ka na, pre, ganito, magmariwana tayo, ganyan. So, that bad influence, it's really, or it is possibly influence you as individual, okay? That could make you who you are, okay? So, through interaction. And also, media content. Media content is one of the platform na talagang, it is a platform that's really a diverse, okay? Madami kang makikilalang ibang-iba yung behavior niya, mga ganyan. So in that thing, it could possibly influence you as individual and could build you as yourself through that social media. Okay? So then, the self-schemas influence not only our current behavior, but also our future behavior. Okay? So in here, William James suggested that the total self of me being as it were duplex. So when we say duplex, it is partly object or it is partly subject. Okay? So let's move on to the next. The other concepts similar to self are identity and self-concept. So when we say identity, it is composed of personal characteristics. It is your personal characteristics. It's your physical appearance. It's your physical characteristics as individual. And also your social roles. So if you wanted to question yourself, what is my role as an individual in this world? So the basic roles that I know is kapag babae ka, you are the ilaw ng tahanan. Pero kapag lalaki ka, you are the breadwinner of the family. So, in that thing, those two roles should uphold the responsibilities in this world, okay? As well as the affiliations that define who one is, okay? And then next is self-concept, is what basically comes to your mind and when you are asked about who you are, okay? So, in this self-concept, it answers the question, sino nga ba ako? Okay? Anong beliefs ko? Anong konsepto ko sa buhay? Anong konsepto ko sa buhay? Ano ang pagkakakilala ko sa sarili ko? So in that thing, that self-concept would really gives you who you are. Okay? So next is symbolic interactionism. So in this symbolic interactionism, it is interaction matters all, sabi nga nila. Then the self is created and developed through human interactions. Kaya na lang sinabi ko kanina na kapag once na nakisama ka sa mga matatalino, nakipag-interact ka sa mga matatalino, then you could possibly influence na magiging matalino ka dahil magre-review ka, kailangan mo makipagsabayan sa kanila, kailangan mong makipagtaasan ng grade sa kanila because that's their nature. Okay? That's their nature na may impluwensyahan ka dahil sa kanilang behavior. Okay? So the three reasons why self and identity are social products. Okay? So first is we do not create ourselves out of nothing. Okay, so what does it mean? We do not create ourselves out of nothing. Okay, so society help in creating the foundations of who we are. And if we make our choices, we will still operate in our social and historical and even in the social context in one way or the another. Okay, you may, of course, transfer from culture to another, but parts of you will still affect you, and you will also have to adapt the new social context. Okay, try to looking at your definition of who you are and see where society had affected you. Okay, did you get it? Okay, so next is whether we like it to admit or not, we actually need others to affirm and reinforce who we think we are. Okay, so ang sinasabi naman natin na no man is an island. Okay, we also need them as reference points about our identity. One interesting example is social media. Social media interactions we have. In the case of Facebook, there are those who will consciously or unconsciously trying to gain more likes and positive reactions. Madami yan. Nung bata natin na padamihan tayo ng likes kasi kapag once na madami kang likes, you are famous. Okay? Kilala ka ng buong barangay, kilala ka ng buong mundo. Okay? Madami mga ganyan. Meron pa yung mini-message kanila to like this one, palike naman ako ng profile ko, and palike naman ako ng ganito, yung page ko, mga ganyan. So, in this case na that will be reinforced of self-concept, okay? It is almost like a battle between who got more friends, more views, and trending topics, okay? Kagaya na nung maalala ko nung bata ko, dalawa kami magkaibigan. Yes, of course. We created our Facebook. And then sabi niya, I have 10 likes. Okay? 10 likes, sabi niya. Eh, yung sa akin kasi, wala pa akong likes. Sabi ko, famous ba ako? Buti pa siya, may naka 10 likes sa profile niya. Ako, wala pa akong likes. So, ang ginawa ko, chinat ko mga friends ko, napalike naman ako nitong profile ko, ganyan. Sige na, kahit walang purpose, basta palike lang ako ng profile ko. And then that thing, nalamangan ko yung 10 likes niya. I gathered 20 likes. So in that thing, nung bata ko, mataas na yun para sa amin. And I know to myself na famous na ako sa dating na yun. Pero it's not, okay? So it's just a matter of to actually need others to affirm and reinforce of who we think we are. So, just for an example, kapag sinabi ko na maganda boses ko, pagdating sa kantahan na sinabi ng mga audience, or sinabi ng mga kaibigan natin, ang pangit-pangit naman ng talaga ng boses mo, sabi niya sa akin. So, it will affect in my idea about myself or one way or another. Or it could be possibly reinforce me as to boost my self-esteem as individual, okay? So next is what we think is important to us may also have been influenced by what is important in our social and historical context. So, okay, so sinabi niya dito na what we think is important to us may also have been influenced by what is important to our social and historical context. So, just like for, kung anong important, halimbawa, sa human interactions, kung sa bahay ninyo, you valued the education, then also you, okay, you could possibly influence na you should value the education, okay? Education might be an important thing to your self-concept because you grew up in the family that valued education, okay? So another example is kapag mahirap ka, okay? Kapag mahirap ka, money might be important to some because they have grown in a low-income family and realized how important the money in addressing certain needs like medical emergencies, your basic needs, mga ganyan. Okay? So, and also in choosing your career, okay? In choosing your career, you might think nung bago kayo nag-enroll, ano kayang kukunin kong course? Okay? So in that thing, may it possibly na sa bahay ninyo, may mga lawyer, may mga nurse, may mga nursing, o may mga doctors, you could possibly get or influence na maglo-lawyer ka din or magiging doctor ka rin or iti-take up mo ang teaching din kasi sa angkan ninyo ay puro teachers na mga doon. You could possibly adopt those behavior, okay? So in that thing, titingnan may mga parts din na titingnan mo din kung in-demand ba tong course na to or hindi. Okay? So, yun. Next is self-awareness. So this self-awareness is really important to us. Why? Because it having a clear perception of your personality, including your strengths, weaknesses, thoughts, beliefs, motivations, and emotions. It can be a positive or negative depending on the circumstances and our next course of an action. Okay? So self-awareness can be or can keep you from doing something dangerous. Okay? You are aware on yourself. Kung you should aware na ito, hindi na pala ito tama, nakakasira na ito sa katawan ko, ang drugs na ito ay nakakasira na sa katawan ko, ang cigarette na ito ay nakakasira na sa health ko, like that. Tong boyfriend ko, nakakasira na to sa future ko. So you should be aware. That is why self-awareness is really important to us. Okay? And also, it can help remind you that there is an exam tomorrow in one of your subjects when you are about playing Mobile Legends with your crush or sa kaduo or sa jowa niyo. Alam mong may responsibility ka bilang estudyante to pass and get the diploma. So you need to accomplish the requirements and pass all the exams. Okay? So in this, allows you to understand other people and how they perceive you, your attitude, and your responses to them in the moment. So in this thing, self-awareness, it's really an important, okay, to be aware on your weaknesses, on your strengths as individual, and also your beliefs, and your motivation, and your emotions, okay? So also represents to us with at least 3 other self, the actual, ideal, and out self. So what is the difference between the 3? Okay, pag sinabi natin actual self is who you are in present. Kung sino ka sa present ngayon. Ngayon, sino kayo? You are a college student. You are pretty, you are handsome, you are chubby, and thin. Okay? So, when we say ideal naman, kapag sinabi natin ideal self is who you like to be. Okay? Your dream, your future, like future criminologist, future teacher, okay, like that. So kapag ought, okay, who you think you should be, okay, used to indicate your responsibility or what is expected to you. Okay, for example, you are a student and interested in basketball, but it's also academically challenged in most of your subject. Your ideal self might be to practice more and play with the varsity teams, but ought to pass your subject as responsible student. Okay. So that's it. So let's proceed to the social comparison theory. So in here, there is 2 kinds of social comparison. Okay, so let's first define what is social comparison theory, what is the context of this theory. So according to the social comparison theory, we learn about ourselves, the appropriateness of our behavior, as well our social status. So we have 2 classification of social comparison theory. First is the downward social comparison, and next is the upward social comparison. So first is downward social comparison. It is the more common type of comparing ourselves with others, okay? So in this, as the name implies, we create a positive self, okay, by comparing ourselves with those who are worse off than us and by having advantage, okay? We can raise our self-esteem. Example, comparing your score to other classmates. Ugali ng mga estudyante yan. Siyempre, ako naman din noon. Kapag mababa yung score ko, maghahanap ako ng mas mababa sa akin to boost my self-esteem, to boost my self-confidence. Okay? So, kayo din. Okay? Kapag once na mababa ang score nyo, you find na, hindi lang ako yung mababa. Meron pa pala siya. Ganun. And then, yung sarili mo na, okay, mababa ako. Mababa din yung kaibigan ko. Kaya okay lang yun. Babawi na lang kami next time. babawi na lang kami next time. So you are comparing yourself with the other students, okay? With your same with your same student, with your same peer, okay? So pag sinabi nating upward social comparison, while it can be a form of motivation for some, a lot of those who do this actually felt lower their skin as they highlight more of their weakness or inequalities. Or example, uh, you are comparing, kapag mababa yung score mo sa exam, tapos ikaw lang sa magkakaibigan ang mababa ang nakuha, it really hurts talaga. It lower your self-esteem. Yes, naranasan ko rin yan. Sa lahat, sa 14 kami magkakaibigan, ako yung pinakamababang score. And it really hurts sa akin na, oh shit, mapapatanong ka na lang talaga, ala, ba't ang tanga-tanga ko? Ang bobo ko naman sa part na yun. So, paano ako makakabawi? Okay? So, in that thing, it could be possibly na mag-iisip ka ng solution kung paano ka makakapasa in the next activity or in the next quiz. Okay? So, another example is comparing ourselves with those who are better off than us. Okay? So kapag kinompare mo yung sarili mo or sa ibang tao, maybe it is a form of motivation for some. But a lot of do actually felt lower esteem. Okay? Kapag sinabi natin na kapag kinompare mo yung sarili mo sa ibang teacher, okay? Ako, noon, I compared myself with my teacher before when I was a student. Okay? Sabi ko, gagayahin ko yan. Magiging inspiration ko tong teacher na to. Kasi ang galing-galing niya magturo. Naiintindihan ko agad ang tinuturo niya. And then kapag once na hindi ko na-meet yung standard ng teacher, it's really lowered my self-esteem as a student and also as a teacher. So in that thing, you should always see the consequences before you decide or before you compare yourself with the others. Okay? So in layman's term, uniqueness and originality is always in your hands. Okay? Nasa sa inyo na pa yan. We are all in a diverse world. Okay? Not everyone will learn in the same pace of how they learn effectively and efficiently. Okay? So I hope na naintindihan nyo tong downward comparison and upward social comparison. So next is self-evaluation maintenance theory. Okay? It states that we can feel threatened when someone outperforms us, so we react in the three ways. Okay? So we distance ourselves from that person or redefine our relationship with them. Ang pangit naman nun na we distance ourselves from that person or redefine our relationship with them. Pag sinabi nating redefine, kung ano yung current status nyo, babaguhin mo yan. Just like for example, friend kami ngayon. And then kapag may nagawa na siyang kasalanan or yung treatment niya sa akin ay iba na, I would redefine it. Gagawin ko na lang siyang stranger. So it's possibly na pangit yun. So some will resort to the silent treatment, change of friends, while some may also redefine by being closer to that person, hoping that some association may give him acknowledgement also. Okay? So next is we may also reconsider the importance of the aspect or skill in which you are outperformed. Okay? If you got beaten in a drawing, okay, you must think that drawing is not really for you. You would seek a hobby na kung saan ka mag-excel. Okay? Thus preserving your self-esteem. So in this thing, hahayaan mo na lang yung skill na yun kasi, okay, hindi ako nag-excel dito. Ayoko na dito. Maghanap na lang ako ng iba. Just like for example, ako, pag pinagsabihan ako na, ang pangit ang boses mo, di ka marunong kumanta, and it's my passion to sing. And it lowered my self-esteem. So, ang gagawin ko na lang, okay, hindi pala ako marunong kumanta. So, tigil na lang ako sa pagkakanta. So, magda-dancing na lang siguro ako. Siguro sa dancing, dun ako mag-excel as individual. Okay? So, yun ang pag-iisip niya in preserving your self-esteem. Okay? So, third is, we may also strengthen our resolve to improve that certain aspect of ourselves. So, what does it mean? We may also strengthen, sabi niyan, strengthen. So, just like for an example dun sa drawing. Instead of quitting in drawing, You might join seminars, practice more often, read books about it. You should go to the workshops para mas lalong ma-enhance ang iyong skill. Hindi yung magkikwit ka na lang agad. Okay? And add some elements in your drawing that makes it unique at mas lalo mo pang galingan para mas lalo ka pang gumaling. Okay? Just like for an example, ako, na ang pangit-pangit ang boses mo, sabi nila sa akin, I would not give up. Okay? Hindi ako mag-give up sa pagkanta. Mag-a-attend ako ng seminars, mag-a-attend ako ng workshops, para mas lalo ako mahasa. Okay? Para mas lalong ma-enhance at ma-enlighten ang aking boses. And then I could possibly na maging Morissette ang aking boses in a different way. Okay? Kaya ko maging Regine Velasquez if you put hard work, patience, effort, and sacrifices in your goals. Okay? Kung achieving your goals through hard work may increase your self-esteem. Okay? Sabi ko noon nung nag-aaral pa lang ako ng college, sabi ko nung first year college ko noon, tinake ko ang teaching career. Sabi ko, ang hirap, ang daming requirements, Monday to Friday, quiz, Sabado-Linggo, magre-review ka na naman kasi by Monday na naman, may quiz na naman. So sabi ko, Lord, kung para sa akin tong career na to, tulungan mo ako at gabayan mo ako. Sabi ko, but I always think beyond on it. Sabi ko, paano ko to magagawa without the actions? Sabi ko, so I put efforts, I put sacrifices, I indulged my time, I devoted my time, my hard work, and everything. And also holding tightly my dreams. And then I will not open it until I will not succeed. Okay? Because in our way, there's a lot of problems, failures, mistakes, but we need to surpass that obstacles. Okay? We need to surpass that in order for us to go and genuinely celebrate the success in our life. Alam niyo ba kung bakit nararanasan natin yung mga problema, stress, anxiety, at saka mistakes at failures? They are just an experience. They are just an experience to build up or to make you strong person. Para sa pag na-attain mo na yung success mo, you can ready ka na sa susunod na chapter. Okay? Ready ka na sa susunod na chapter sa buhay mo. Okay? So, that's it. I encourage everyone to never give up. Always find solution. Walang problema na walang solusyon. Okay? So, next is narcissism. So, narcissism is a trait characterized by overly high self-esteem, self-admiration, and self-centeredness. So they are often charismatic because of how they take care of their image. Okay, so sinabi niya dito na over high self-esteem and self-admiration and self-centeredness. Okay, so next is self-complexity. Okay, so what does it mean by self-complexity? The extent to which individuals have many different and relatively independent ways of thinking about themselves. Okay, some selves are more complex than others, and these individual differences can be important in determining psychological outcomes. Having a complex self means that we have a lot of different ways of thinking about ourselves. Okay, that is self-complexity. So, in here, may I ask you, why is it important to know yourself? Okay. Why is it important to know yourself? Ask yourself, is it important for me to know myself? Yes, of course. You should be aware, okay? You should be aware on your goals, on your purpose, on your reasons to live. Dahil kung wala, your life would not worthy, sabi ni Socrates. Okay? So you should always know what is your your needs and wants. Okay, you should know who you are. Kung anong role mo sa mundo. Kung anong reason mo sa mundo. Kung anong purpose mo sa mundo. Kasi kung hindi, useless. It's really a futile life. Kung andyan ka lang, andyan ka lang nakatambay, wala kang ginagawa, walang mangyayari sa'yo. Okay? So, I'm happy and I'm lucky na you are enrolled in your perspective courses. So I know that your purpose would be your courses, would be your courses na kung saan ka mag-graduate, kung anong course na i-graduate mo. Okay? So next is the benefits of self-image. So this is really one of the best benefits that we should indulge or internalize in ourselves. The first is happiness. Okay? You will be happier when you can express who you are. Expressing your desire, moreover, will make it more likely that you get what you want. Okay? Your needs also. Your very satisfying self. Okay? So next is less inner conflict. When your outside actions are in accordance with your inside feelings and values, you will experience less inner conflict. Okay? So better decision making. When you know yourself, you are able to make better choices about everything. Yeah, it's really true. From smaller decisions like which sweater I will buy, to big decisions like which partner I will spend my life with. And you will have your guidelines. You can apply to solve life's varied problems. Okay? So better decision making. But in decision making, you should always think on the risks and you should always consider the consequences. Okay? Na consequences na mangyayari in the future before you decide. Okay? So self-control. Self-control, when you know yourself, you understand what motivates you to resist bad habits and develop good ones. Okay? You will have the insight to know which values and goals activate your real power. You have the self-control. Okay? Kung anong gusto mo sa gawin mo, then go. Okay? So resistance to social pressure. When you are grounded in your values, preference, you are less likely to say yes when you want to say no. Yeah, it's really true na kapag gawin mo nga to, sa kaloob-looban mo, ayaw mo. Pero because of resistance to social pressure, nape-pressure ka, yes sir, I will do it. Gagawin mo na lang. Okay? So it's your choice. Tolerance and understanding of others. Your awareness of your own fables and struggles can help you empathize with others. Okay? So vitality and pleasure. So in these benefits of self-image is being who you truly are helps you feel more alive and makes your experience of life richer, larger, and more exciting. Okay? So next is global versus differentiated model. Okay? So according kay Murray Bowen, my cousin, si Murray Bowen is my cousin, supports the conception that anxiety and stress can disrupt the quality of one's relationship. Okay? So differentiation and fusion refers to the extent in which an individual can separate their emotional and intellectual self. The solid self, the differentiated self is characterized as pseudo-self. So when we say differentiation of self, is the ability to separate feelings and thoughts. Okay? So what does it mean by undifferentiated people? Okay, kabaligtaran lang din yun. Cannot separate feelings and thoughts. So just like for an example, yung talagang galit na galit ka na, yung talagang gusto mo nang sumabog dahil sa galit. So in that thing, yung feelings natin, napaka-stronger. Hindi tayo makapag-iisip logically and critically. That's why nakakapagsabi tayo ng mga masasama sa ating mga kaibigan, sa mga kapwa natin, and especially dun sa kaaway natin. Napapagsabihan natin sila ng mga masasama. And then kapag naging relax ka na, naging kalmado ka na, at doon na yung time na naiisip mo na, ala, mali pala yung sinabi ko. Nagiging sensitive ka na sa mga oras na yon. And then, it's time na pagsisisihan mo na yung mga sinabi mo. So that is undifferentiated people. Okay? Yung hindi nila ma-separate yung feelings at saka thoughts nila sa ibang tao. Just like for example, kapag yung talagang sa boyfriend mo rin, sa girlfriend, kapag break up ng girlfriend at saka boyfriend mo, kapag nakipag-break up yung boyfriend mo sa'yo, sabi niya, break na tayo. And then it really hurts. Tatamaan ka talaga. Sabi, ayoko pa maghiwalay tayo. Ayoko sa akin ka lang. Ibibigay ko lahat. Ibibigay ko si bataan para sa'yo. And then nung time na binigay mo yung bataan mo sa boyfriend mo, and walang nangyari. Ganon na. Binigay mo ba tayo? Pagsisisihan mo yung nangyari. Sana nakipag-break na lang sana siya sa akin. Sana hindi ako maagang babuntis ngayon. So in that thing, hindi tayo makapag-isip, makapag-decide dahil sa emotions na dala. Dahil ang emotion, it dominates our personality. Okay? So viewed self is characterized as total self-concept, views the self as multiple cognitive structure, and it is integrated into one single view of the total self-concept. Okay, so in this, viewed self is a total self-concept views, okay? To integrate into one single view of the self-total or the self-concept. Okay? So next is the global self-esteem. Okay? So in this, from the theory, Shaveson, si Hubert Stanton, mga barkada ko yan noon, sinabi nila na global self refers to the extent to which one's perception of the self is clearly and consistently defined. Sabi niya. So, it is a personality variable that represents the way people generally feel about themselves. Okay? So, sabi din nila na global self-esteem is the decision people can make their worth as a person. So, it can be high, or some prefer the term healthy, but rather low in a specific situation or in a relation to a specific activity. Just like, for example, okay? Si Jane may have high overall self-esteem and have a positive view of herself as a dancer, and yet have a low self-esteem about communicating in a second language. Okay? So, next is the real and ideal self-concept. So in psychology, the real self and the ideal self are terms to use to describe personality domains. Okay? The real self is who we actually are. Tayo, the authentic one. It is how we think, how we feel, look, and act. The real self can be seen by others. Okay? But because we have no way of truly knowing how others view us, the real self is our self-image. Okay? Kung anong nakikita ng mga ibang tao sa'yo, that is your self-image. Okay, so when we say self-image, it is an imaginary picture of the self as possessor of unlimited powers and superlative qualities. Okay? So self-image is a personal view or the mental picture that we have ourselves. It is on how you build yourself as individual sa mga mata ng ibang tao. So if you build yourself with a code of conduct, then others will see you with respect. Okay? Rerespetuhin ka kasi yun ang binild mo sa sarili mo, na may respeto sa sarili. Okay? So when we say actual self, the person one is in everyday life is often despised because it fails to fulfill the requirements. Okay? So let's look on the difference between the actual self and the ideal self. Okay? So, according to Carl Rogers, sinabi ng pinsan kong si Carl Rogers, with this person-centered theory, sabi niya, real self includes all those aspects of one's being and one's experience that are perceived in awareness by the individual. It is a part of ourself where we feel, think, look, and act involving our self-image. Okay? Sabi niya. So, sabi niya din, ang ideal self revolves around goals, around our ambitions, around our life. Kung anong gusto mo maging sa sarili mo. That's your ideal self. So, your real self then is your real self then is kung anong mafe-feel mo, yung anong naiisip mo, at kung ano yung nakikita mo, act involving our self-image. Okay, so actual self is the person you see every day in the mirror. Okay, kung ano nakikita mo palagi sa kanya, that's our actual. And then the person that other people interact with on the daily basis. Ideal self is the person God created you to be. Okay? You will only have an understanding of your ideal self if you have a major spiritual awakening that shows you a possible you that you never knew was possible. Okay? I cannot tell you how to see your ideal self because it is part of your life journey and it is up to divine intervention to show you. Okay? Many people will deliberately pursue a spiritual path seeking their ideal self. But I think most people that see their ideal self have no control over the process and find that it occurs in the circumstances that they never could have foreseen. Okay? So next is multiple and unified self. Okay? Sabi ni David Laste, he said that the mind is composed of multiple, such as sub-selves, that are autonomous sets of psychological processes such as dreams, desires, emotions, and memories. Okay? So pag sinabi nating unified self, it is the integration of the sub-selves into one. However, integration is a task for the later part of yourself. So, unified self is a means of referring to the composite persona or to the self that could contains all the other personas that exist within a person's interactional style. Okay, so in Lester's multiple self theory of personality, Lester makes it clear that each multiple self in the individual mind is a complex or organization of psychological contents. Pag sinabi natin psychological contents, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your behaviors. Terms such as forces, voices, and identities lack this connotation of organization. Okay? So, true self is inherently moral. Okay? Good and transcends situations and circumstances and culturally unstable. Governed by moral code refers to all the dimensions of the self that are not essentially to the true self. Okay? Tong inherently moral, good, and transcend, kung ano na yung innate sa'yo as individual. So that's your true self. Yung true self na hindi na mawawala kasi innate na yun sa'yo. Okay? So next is multiple self. According to K. Chergen, are capacities we carry within us from multiple relationships. These are not discovered but created in our relationship with other people. Okay, so gaya na lang yung sinabi ko na yung it clear that multiple self in the individual mind is a complex or organization of psychological contexts. Your emotions, your behavior, your feelings, and even your thoughts as individual. Okay? So, true versus false self. True meaning totoo, authentic. There is true self that has a sense of integrity or connected to the wholeness that hearts to the early stage. Okay? True self is also known as real self, authentic self, original self, or even more vulnerable self. Okay? So pag sinabi naman nating false self, when the person has to comply with the external rules, such as being polite or otherwise following social codes, then a false self is used. Okay? The false self constantly seeks to anticipate the demands to others in order to maintain the relationship. Okay? So, false self, also known as fake self, idealized self, superficial self, and pseudo self. It is psychological concept, okay? It is originally introduced into a psychoanalysis during the time of 1960 by Donald Winnicott, okay? Si Winnicott, ginamit niya yung true self to describe a sense of self based on spontaneous, authentic experience. Okay, and a feeling of being alive and having a real self. Okay? So, sinabi niya, there are two, healthy self and the unhealthy self. Sabi niya, kapag sinabi natin healthy self or healthy false self, when the situation becomes difficult, the true self can still override the true self and so acts as an effective conscience or superego. Okay? Unhealthy self or unhealthy false self. When the false self wins debates against the true self, the person finds that they are unable to be guided, okay, by their true self and also has to adapt to the social situation rather than the assert its self. Okay, so next is ayan. Ayan yung false self, the unhealthy self, and the unhealthy false self. Okay, so self as proactive and agentic. So would be the last topic. Pag sinabi nating the agentic self, it is defined as the aspect, okay, of human personality that is determined by future assessments of one goals, objectives, and actions. So pag sinabi natin agentic, it is known as the executive function. Alam naman na natin yung executive function. Okay? They are going to execute, to scrutinize laws kung sa executive branch. So, pati rin dito. Okay? The executive functions that allows for actions. This is how we, as individuals, make choices and utilize our control in situations and actions. The agent self resides over and everything that involves decision-making, self-control, and actively responding. Okay? So, in making decision, you should always look of what is best on you. Okay? The consequences, the risk, kung kaya nyo ba, kung may mga solutions kayo to make it that. Okay? So, sabi sa proactive, sorry, I forgot to put the meaning of proactive. So, proactive can describe a person who get things done. Okay? Active means doing something. Okay, so when we say proactive self, pag sinabi natin yung prefix na pro means before. Okay? So if you are proactive, you are ready before something happens. Okay? The opposite is being reactive or waiting for the things to unfold before responding. Gaya nung bagyo, maging proactive tayo, sinisigaw ng kapitan natin, maging proactive tayo. So when we say proactive, magpe-prepare ka na bago pa dumating yung bagyo. So, ang magpe-prepare mo, itali mo na yung bahay mo, yung mga bintana, iayusin na, yung bubong, tali na. So, that is proactive. Okay? So, ang opposite naman ng proactive is reactive or waiting for things to unfold before responding. Okay? So, next is, ayan, last na, wala na. So, meron pa tayong tinatawag na self-reactiveness. So what does it mean? Okay? So pag sinabi natin self-reactiveness, It involves making choices, okay? We make different choices, and we actually make choices after thinking about the consequences, okay? Self-reflectiveness gives us the ability to reflect on our ideas and decisions and even choices and consequences, okay? So, so interactiveness, you should always respond on what is your respond on what is the result. Okay? So, meron din tayong tinatawag na self-reflectiveness. Turns out to become the realization stage. Okay? It is wherein we analyze the thoughts and actions we made, and also human aren't just made to become agents and handle them, because our functions are one thing we examine thoroughly. Okay, so that is a self-reflectiveness. So, thank you for your time na makinig dito sa video discussion natin. And I hope na mas lalong naintindihan nyo. Okay? If you have queries or you have questions, you can PM me directly, or you can post it in our GC, and I will respond on your questions. Or if you have clarification, or if you have other information, just put it in our group chat. Okay? I will respond on what queries you are going to throw to me. Okay? But always remember that includes your section and your course, and then your queries, so that maayos, okay? Ma-entertain ko kayo. Okay? Kasi meron yung mga nagpapasa na, eto, sir, ganito, ganyan, hindi ko pa ma-open LMS ko. Sir, hindi pa po ako enrolled, sabi niya. Eh, alam ko ba kung anong section mo? Kailan sabi mo, sir, from BSRT 1B, sir, ganito po kasi yung LMS ko, hindi po kasi nag-open. What could be the best solution for this? Okay. May entertain ko kayo. Okay, so thank you and God bless.